can be sent all of that to you
Mm-hmm.
if you want. Okay. All right. So in this particular, what's her name again?
Sonora.
Sonora. Sonora has the type of personality that's very strong. You know, as most pit bulls have that personality. They're strong personalities, and of course, some more than others. And usually, when we encounter a dog like this, we are afraid of this energy because we assume that it means aggression. And a lot of times it does because it can turn into aggression, and that's what we're talking about here. How far will she go? How much pressure can she take before, you know, she becomes aggressive? And of course, it's really a case-by-case basis. It depends on the dog that she's with, and it depends on the type of pressure that she's under. Meaning, is she under this pressure when she's on a leash, right? Or are there other aggressive dogs that are around that are lunging at her, right? That's taking her to that state of mind where she can become aggressive. You know, those are a lot of factors. But the beauty about her coming here in a controlled environment is that we can push those buttons freely and still maintain the control. And the reason that that's possible is because, of course, I have dogs that have been taught how to do that. You know, there are different dogs with different personalities, some more dominant than others, some more submissive than others. And we have alphas, betas, subordinates, and runts that are here all working to do their part to be put into a situation when it's time, right? And so we're able to carry a dog from one position, state of mind, to another state of mind successfully, and then have them start over again and play it out themselves. And that's the beauty in rehabilitation, or now I talk more about socialization because that's what we need, advanced socialization. And the way that we can think of advanced socialization is when we talk about advanced training. A dog that it's now can do the basic stuff, but now they are advanced and doing something higher, right? So in socialization, there is a stage of a mediocre socialization and then advanced socialization, which is what we're talking about here, which is what I do, is I push buttons to see how social dogs can be. And the concept is that in nature, dogs were intended to have a certain amount of stress placed on them. Actually, all animals depend on having a certain amount of stress placed on them, because when the stress is placed on them, the hormones begin to work properly, okay? And so they have to figure out how to balance themselves out, okay? And so when that pressure is on them and they're trying to figure out where they fit in, if nothing happens to them aggressively, then it's very easy for them to figure out where they fit in, you know? Because usually when it goes wrong is when they're at this high socialization stage and a dog starts a fight. Well, then that carries them too quickly to the next stage before they can, it's like putting a key in a lock. You know, before you can get it all the way in, something happens and interferes with that moment. And then the fight starts, and then the dog ends up walking away with that learned behavior, with that thing that happened to them. And they never go through it again to solve it, okay? And so the beautiful thing about being in a controlled environment is that I can make sure that that transition takes place so that the dog can come out on the other end of it that have learned a positive lesson that is eager to do it over and over and over again. And then we have to teach the owners or the fosters or the adopters, you know, what it is that they need to do to keep the dog in this state of mind. And so the most elusive of all the dogs when we're doing this are the ones who have high energy, or the ones who have this powerful personality. Because now we're talking about the human factor playing in that too. When we see that personality in a dog, then that makes us feel weak because we're trying to show the dog love and do the best thing for it, but they're frightening us because we don't want to see them get into a fight. And that very energy right there that we have promotes the very thing that we don't want. Okay? And so that's why these things aren't successful. You know? And that's mainly why a lot of this is done on the leash, because at least we know we have that kind of control. Right? That if something happens, we can pull them back. But our reflexes are not as fast as a dog, and our timing is always off because our minds are always in the phase of, I don't want anything to happen, I don't want anything to happen. And just putting your mind in that state is throwing you off because you're not in the moment with the dog. Okay? And so we jump the gun. And then when we pull back, the dog lunges, and depending on how that sounds, maybe there's growling or whatever, we pull away and we say, okay, this is a problem. So I'm saying all this to say it's important to evaluate a dog, to bring them in a controlled environment where we can play out these types of scenarios over and over and over and over again until we can find a formula that works for every dog. And so I took some video today of this very thing happening to take her from a transition of this morning when she comes in to a place where I need her to be so that rehabilitation can begin. And so I can show you that.